In this video, we are recapping some of the wild weather over the past week. Also, more severe weather is expected as the Storm Prediction Center has issued outlooks for tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This will be accompanied by potential widespread flash flooding in the south and an ongoing wildfire risk in New Mexico. All that and more coming right up. Welcome back, y'all. Ryan Hall here with the weather forecast. These last few days have been incredibly busy in the weather world. On Saturday, May 21st, a huge derecho swept across portions of Ontario and Quebec, bringing gusts up to 82 miles per hour. Almost 1 million people lost power because of the high winds, and widespread damage was left behind. And then on Monday, a giant tornado near Morton, Texas shocked local storm chasers. Extremely dusty conditions made the tornado very picturesque as it churned across open fields away from civilization. Finally, on Tuesday, giant hail was reported in portions of western Texas as a collection of storms moved across the region. Some of these hailstones were 4 inches in diameter. That's almost DVD sized. It has definitely been wild out there, but now it's time to put the past behind us and look forward because the weather never stops. All right, let's go ahead and start looking at the Storm Prediction Center outlooks. This is for today. Look at this. We got a big slight risks down there near New Orleans all the way up into Jackson, Mississippi. This is mostly driven by wind, okay? So strong winds are going to be possible today, and we'll talk more about this right here in a minute. But look, the dark green goes into Memphis and Nashville and Bowling Green all the way up into Chicago, close to Milwaukee. And this is a marginal risk of severe weather, and I believe that we're going to see 1 or 2 strong storms up in this area as well. So everybody in any risk area today needs to be weather aware. Same thing for tomorrow's outlook. We have 2 slight risk areas. One of them's over here in Idaho and Oregon. We'll talk more about that here in a second. The other one's going to be over here in Kentucky, portions of West Virginia, and a lot of central and eastern Ohio. Once again, this is mostly driven by straight line damaging winds, but I believe that tomorrow we'll see this risk drop south a little bit into central Kentucky, maybe even into portions of Tennessee. Anywhere in the risk areas here, you got to be weather aware tomorrow, and let's explain why. Here's what the radar could look like later today around 2 p.m. Eastern. You can always keep up with the date and time above my head. Check it out. A big swirling system is sparking up some major storms down here in Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi. Now, once again, the main threat here is going to be those straight line damaging winds, but a secondary threat, or maybe even actually the main threat, is going to be the heavy rain. You guys are going to be dealing with some absolutely prolific downpours down here, and of course, flash flooding is going to be a concern. Check it out. As I move this into 6 p.m., we have a strong straight line damaging wind line segment with several bow echoes moving through Hattiesburg, Meridian, all the way up into Jackson, Tennessee. Watch out for that. And of course, maybe even St. Louis gets in on a couple rumbles of thunder and some heavy rain and some strong winds. But as we get into the early morning hours on Thursday, especially around 2 a.m., everything starts to fizzle out because we are depending on the daylight energy, the sunlight, the convective available potential energy to really start boiling things up, if you know what I'm saying. But the parent system over here near Wichita, Kansas is still spinning, and it's going to continue to do so even as we get into Thursday. And this is why we've got that additional slight risk as we get into Thursday up here in Ohio and portions of Kentucky. All this heavy rains down here in the panhandle of Florida up into Alabama and Georgia. A lot of East Tennessee is going to see that as well. Check it out. Maybe some discrete cells with hail near my hometown. We're going to watch that go up into Ohio and West Virginia as well. This is why I think they might extend that slight risk down a little bit. Around 6 p.m., I'm seeing some signs of some strong winds here in central Kentucky, and maybe even another band behind that with some strong winds, heavy rain, some hail. Both of these days is going to be minimal, but we can't rule out an isolated tornado or 2. And of course, by 2 a.m., as we go into Friday morning, all of these storms will die out completely. So don't be scared, be prepared. A lot of these storms are going to be your average, typical May summertime thunderstorms or springtime thunderstorms. Remember, May tornadoes bring June tomatoes. And if this comes to fruition, I actually might go out for a local storm chase tomorrow. So make sure you're following me on Twitter for updates on that. Love to see a good shelf cloud coming over the mountain. That looks like what we might get here in eastern Kentucky tomorrow. All right, coming over here to the West Coast. Remember, we got that slight risk in portions of Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. Let's check it out. What's that simulated radar reflectivity looking like? Between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have some storms pop up with some very strong winds moving through. And that's going to be the main threat, okay? Maybe some hail, some heavy rain, but certainly the strong winds are going to be the driving force over here with these storms. Nothing too intense to worry about there. But this storm system producing the day 2 slight risk is the same one that is eventually going to produce more slight risks from the Storm Prediction Center as we go into day 4 and day 5. That's right, you heard me right. We got more severe weather to talk about, but not before we mention today's sponsor, of course. Picnic Allergy, your allergies blown away. Y'all know I've been suffering with allergies big time this year, and I am not alone. Over 50 million people in the US suffer from allergies, and more than half of them, like myself, aren't able to find treatments that really work for them. Well, Picnic Allergy is working to change that by creating personalized and effective allergy treatment plans that are simple and convenient. Here's how it works. First, complete the short allergist-made quiz about your symptoms, history, and any medication preferences. Then, review your personalized pack and complete a virtual consultation with a Picnic doctor if a prescription is recommended. After that, Picnic delivers your treatment right to your door where it's most convenient for you. It's that easy. Picnic offers over-the-counter FDA-approved medications that are tailored to your specific needs. So what are you waiting for? Quit being snotty-nosed over there. Get 50% off your first order if you use my link down in the description below. This is only valid for the first 100 people that click the link, so get to clicking now. All you gotta do is take the quiz and the promotion will be applied and you'll get free shipping as well. So once again, make sure you click that link below and take the quiz and get your 50% off and get rid of those allergies, okay? So let's get back into today's video. All right, check it out. We've got a day 3 slight risk. That's Friday on the East Coast. And then on Saturday, we're switching back to the high plains. And then on Sunday, we move east just a little bit with that 15% chance of severe weather. And we're gonna break it all down right now. Okay, let's take a look at the 500 millibar heights. This is the wind speed above your head. This is really what controls the weather. On a synoptic level, this is the main thing that we look at, and then there's little mesoscale things that happen closer to the ground that determine exactly how severe the storms are. But here's our big trough today that's sparking the severe weather in the east. Once again, remember, everywhere out in front of this thing is getting incredible lift and a lot of moisture from the ocean, and then inside of here we're getting a lot of cooler and drier air coming in, and wherever those things meet up, we get thunder boomers. Now this trough, even though it's pretty large and it's neutral, it's weak, okay? You can see that the wind speeds wrapping around here aren't very strong. So if you've ever heard me talk about my tomato analogy or nader juice down here in the Gulf of Mexico, and we throw it up against that wall, the wall's kind of soft here, so it absorbs some of the impact and we don't get much splattering. And that's why the severe weather threat over the next couple of days isn't that incredible. But check it out, as we go into Friday, this is going to move into the East Coast and absolutely cause another round of severe weather over here with that weak trough as it ejects off to the north and east. But check it out, after that, we've got another one forming, okay? We got a big area of lift right here, another little trough trying to form back here, and this is what's going to spark our day 4 and day 5 storms as well. And this is actually going to eventually become a pretty well-pronounced trough. This will be a very good instance of all the moisture and ingredients from the south get flung up into that wall, and it's actually going to splatter pretty hard. So as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday of next week even, things are going to get wild out there in the northern plains, potentially even down into portions of Nebraska and Colorado. So we'll talk more about that in the near future, but for now, let's focus on the more conceivable threats. Here we are looking at the instantaneous flash rate, which shows us the density of lightning strikes, and we can assume that where there are dense lightning strikes, there are storms. So by 1 p.m. on Friday, we're seeing a new line of storms forming off of the outflow from the storms that hit Kentucky and Ohio the day before, and they're going to ripen right up and become quite strong around Washington, D.C., maybe around 3 p.m. That's going to move east into Baltimore, Philadelphia, and of course, Virginia Beach, all the way up into portions of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and then the whole cold front's going to move out by midnight to 4 a.m. So really the apex or the strongest point of the storms, I believe, is going to be from Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia, but we'll see what happens beyond that, and if New York City, southern New York, and Connecticut, and areas of New England have to be too concerned. Of course, we don't have the HRRR in range, so once we get that in range, we'll have a lot more information here for you. And of course, as soon as we get that out of our hair, we got a new system over here in Nebraska and South Dakota, sparking big storms around 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern, and that looks super cellular to me. Obviously, it'll be different once we actually get there, but just a quick glance at the instantaneous flash rate shows that this might be a little bit more of a tornado threat there. We'll talk more about that as we go into the future, but as we go into Sunday, it sparks up again, and an even larger area could be affected here as all of this moisture is running up against that trough, and we're likely going to see some big storms here, maybe a straight line damaging wind threat as well, just depending on how the mesoscale features line up. This is pretty typical May weather, okay? You see the big old building of the convective available potential energy there. It gets swept out by a cold front, and then right behind it, a new area of cape forms, and then it also gets swept out by a cold front eventually, and that's just the circle of life, or the circle of storms here as we go into the future. And there's going to be a lot of instability in the southern and southeastern portions of the U.S. during this time period, all the way through June 2nd, and those scattered pop-up daytime thunderstorms are going to be all the rage from Georgia all the way up the Appalachians there, so make sure you are prepared for that. Sunny days, hot and steamy, and then boom, thunderstorm out of nowhere. All right, that brings me to my final point here, the rain. Extreme rainfall and flash flooding is going to be a real possibility for a lot of people over the next couple of days, and then even as we go later on into the week. You see all the red here? That's where most of the rain is going to fall over the next 240 hours. This is not a very high resolution model, but you can see some areas are showing up above 4 inches. So more than 4 inches of rain, you got to start worrying about flooding. A lot of that's going to fall in a very short period of time, especially for areas in the south. Here's a look at the Weather Prediction Center's outlook for flash flooding and excessive rainfall today. Look at that. We got a moderate risk, 2 separate moderate risks, and one is up there near Memphis. So watch out if you're in a flood prone area anywhere in the red or the yellow. You have to be hyper weather aware today and tomorrow. Here's tomorrow's outlook. So once again, if you're in a flood prone area, pay attention. This is what the rain's looking like on the Euro. But if we look at the NAM 3 kilometer model, which is a little bit of a higher resolution model, you can see that we've actually got some much higher totals in some isolated areas, and this is going to be more realistic. Some areas in here getting above 8 inches of rain, some places getting 3 or 4 inches of rain, 5 or 6 inches. It's impossible to tell exactly where these will actually line up, but anywhere in those risk areas, if you are in a flood prone zone, you need to have a plan in place to get to higher ground quickly, because these storms are going to pack a lot of moisture with them. Hey, super huge shout out to all of our members over here. Thank you so much. I've been out and about in my local hometown with Vince Welty and Brandon Kopic over the past couple of days. We're working on a lot of fun projects, and I've got a big announcement coming soon, okay? So make sure you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course, all of my YouTube channels over here, because we are getting ready to release some awesome stuff, okay? All right, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. Also, real quick, before we end the video completely, I do have to say that Picnic Allergy is super awesome. I'm super happy that they are sponsoring us, and they really did help me with my allergies. If you've been watching for a while, you know I was having a really hard time during the live streams and stuff. So if you guys have any problems, hit them up.